And welcome back, rugby fans, to Rugby411. As always, I'm your host. My name is Joshua Shibata, and this is a preview of the 2024 Pacific Four Series, a international competition between four of the best women's rugby sides in the world. You have the United States, Canada, Australia, and New Zealand playing against each other in a very cool cross global series with a lot on the line, and I'll go into detail about everything about it, including all the matches that are coming up, including the very important first one that will be right around the weekend here in Los Angeles. I'm super excited, so let's talk about it. First of all, this is the fourth iteration of the Pacific Four Series between these four teams. Granted, technically, the very first iteration was only held again between USA and Canada because, again, COVID at the time prevented Australia and New Zealand from participating. Since then, Canada won that first one. Since then, New Zealand has won back-to-back titles. They are, of course, looking for their third one in a row. Right now, all four teams are ranked in the top 10. New Zealand sits at number 2, Australia sits at number 5, Canada is number 4, and the USA is the lowest ranking team of the four at number 9. Each team will play against each other, and the top 3 teams, this is where it gets interesting. What's on the line? The top 3 teams will go into the WXV1 tier competition. WXV, if you haven't been up on it, is a global competition for women's rugby sides, professional sides, national sides, sorry, was just created last year to kind of give just a lot more competition, a lot more competitive fixtures between all the women teams around the world outside of the Rugby World Cup. Last year's very first iteration was a huge success. It's 3 different tiers. You have WXV 1, 2, and 3. So it gives lower ranked teams around the world a chance to compete on a higher level with similar skilled teams. So they're not facing against the best of the best. They're facing against similar ones with the opportunity starting in 2026, I believe, to start moving up and down between the 3 different tiers. So tier number 1, the bottom team moves down to tier number 2. The tier number 2 top team, the winner, gets to move up to tier 1. A lot of movements between the 3 tiers. So you give the chance for younger, smaller, less higher ranked teams that don't get to play too many high ranked teams the chance to compete with higher level teams. It's a great competition. Lots of criticism for it at first because it devalues the value of the Rugby World Cup, but I think it's been proven that it is a very useful tool to keep the level of competition high, to allow lower tier teams a chance to compete at a higher level, and it's something that now the men's side is starting to see a comparative global competition that will start in a couple of years, very similar to what's going on with WXV. So, anyways, the top 3 teams get to go into WXV 1 tier, and the 4th team goes into the number 2 tier. Last year, unfortunately, the United States was that number 4 team, so they went into the WXV 2. No big deal, but USA is looking to try to improve on that and work their way into that WXV1 tier. Now, first game in this series kicks off this Sunday, April 28th. USA hosting 4-ranked Canada in Los Angeles, California at the Dignity Health Sports Park Arena, which is also home to the Rugby Football Club LA team, and that will also be the site of Rugby Football Club LA playing against New England Free Jacks. So it is a double header at Dignity Health Sports Park in, technically it's Carson, California. But if you are in the area, highly recommend get your tickets. You're available here, and you can buy a game. You buy one ticket for either of those 2, you get to watch both games together. So it is a full day of amazing rugby action. You can see the national women's team compete against the national Canadian team, and then of course you can watch Rugby Football Club LA take on the reigning defending New England Free Jacks. best of all, you're going to hear this lovely voice as your PA announcer for both games. I am super, super excited and stoked. Absolutely honored to be helping out and representing Team USA in this monumental occasion. Then, games following that in this series, May 10th, we move to New Zealand, where the number 2 New Zealand will then take on number 9 USA at Hamilton, New Zealand. May 11th, we go to Sydney, Australia, where the Australian number 5 ranked team takes on number 4 Canada. That following weekend, May 17th, in Melbourne, Australia, the number 5 Australia will then take on USA. And May 18th in Christchurch, New Zealand, number 2 New Zealand will host Canada. And then May 24th, the last game in the series in North Harbour, New Zealand, number 2 New Zealand takes on number 5 Australia. So again, as I mentioned before, the top 3 ranked teams in this one get to move into the WXV 1 tier competition. 4th goes into WXV 2. There's also one more very important thing on the line here in this competition, and that's Rugby World Cup qualification for the Women's Rugby World Cup in 2025. Next year's, that will take place in England. The top ranked team in this competition that hasn't been qualified yet gets a qualified spot in the World Cup. New Zealand and Canada have already qualified. Therefore, it's down to USA and Australia. USA just needs to place 1 spot ahead of Australia to be able to qualify for the Rugby World Cup in 2025. It's not a big task to ask. It just means that USA has to at least beat Australia, possibly win another game, but they just got to finish 1 spot ahead. They just got to finish a spot ahead of Australia, and they qualify for next year's Rugby World Cup. If they don't make that, not all is lost. If they go into WXV 2, which would, automatically, if they didn't qualify, they'll probably be in the WXV 2. The top 6 finishers in the entire WXV competition who have not qualified for the Rugby World Cup at that point can qualify for the World Cup. So if USA doesn't make it in this competition and qualify, if they can do well in the WXV 2 competition, which will be held later in the year, I believe in August and September, then they can earn themselves a spot in the Rugby World Cup. And if they don't make that, I believe there's a final repechage qualification process that they can make their way into the Rugby World Cup. So, again, a lot is on the line in this competition. Again, it does look a little overwhelming for USA being the lowest ranked team. Last year, they didn't do very well. They didn't win any games in this competition, but USA is looking really good. They've looked improved. They won a game in South Africa just recently. Then they dominated. So, I feel they're looking pretty well in this one. And a win against Canada on USA soil would be a great start. So again, come along, come out if you're in the LA area. If you've never seen rugby before, women's or men's, highly recommend you come out because this is a great opportunity. It's not too often you get to see the national USA men's or women's team compete. It's a great time to come out and become a rugby fan and then stay out for the RFCLA New England game. So again, a full day of amazing rugby. And again, I'll be there. Hope to see a lot of you out there as well. If you can't make the game at Dignity Health Sports Park, it will be streamed live on RugbyPass Tv. RugbyPass Tv, similar to the Rugby Network, is World Rugby's official streaming platform. It is great, absolutely free. You can watch all of the HSB7's competition. You can watch all of WXV when it happens. You can watch a lot of great. You can watch Japanese rugby. You can watch competitions on the club level in New Zealand and Australia. It is a great platform, absolutely free. If you're a rugby fan, you should have RugbyPass TV, and you'll be able to see this game. I believe also Peacock might be streaming the game as well. So yeah, I highly recommend you check it out. So again, thank you very much for watching my video, and I'll see you on the pitch. Go USA.